Hey guys, and welcome back to the History of Everything. Today's video on the Civil War. The Civil War is an amazing subject, and I love talking about history. I really love it. So the Civil War started in 1861, but the key events that led up to it were sparked before, all the way back when America formed in the early 1700s. Well, like the late 1700s, 1776. During the Revolutionary War. They the reason why they the reason why it sparked because the North was all industrious, the South was all wealthy crop owners who didn't pay their slaves, and the slaves didn't get that much food, and it was all about cotton. Now the Southern cotton was shipped to Great Britain. So in the Civil War, Great Britain wanted to help the South, but in the first battle they were like, the South's got this. But in the Battle of Gettysburg, they were like, oh no, they need help. The Union might turn the tide. And the British had already outlawed slavery in 1848, and the British needed the cotton for their clothes from the South. But then they realized that a lot of people wouldn't fight for slavery; they would fight for the North, so they didn't help the South. And so in 1861, it started when American President Abraham Lincoln, who is a very famous man, took office. The 11 southern states immediately seceded. The reason why is because he was a strong abolitionist, and I think he was incredible. And they did not like that. And so that's what started the Civil War. And what started the Civil War was at Fort Sumter. And Lincoln sent some supplies, and Lincoln believed that seceding from the Union was illegal, but there was no law on it, and he wasn't a dictator, and he didn't want to be a dictator, so he didn't do anything about it. And so some boats came to Fort Sumter, which is in South Carolina. South Carolina had seceded. They were just bringing food. Abraham Lincoln told them that, and he was honest, so yes, they were bringing food. But there was Fort Charleston and all these other forts that prepared to go into attack. And they took the fort later, and that's what started the Civil War. Now, in like 1862 and 1863, Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. Now, he wasn't a dictator, but what it issued is it said all slaves are free. No matter what, like they were free if the Union had taken control. And I think that he was an amazing president. Like he was our best president because he was always honest. He would not drink, he would not smoke, he would not gamble. He was a really good guy for our president. He was actually honest in the presidency. So another thing that in 1863, two key battles happened. Gettysburg and Antietam. Antietam was the bloodiest battle in the Civil War. Gettysburg was very bloody too, but the Union won it. And later, Abraham Lincoln gave the Gettysburg Address. 7 years ago, that is the beginning of the Gettysburg Address. So 7 years ago is the beginning of the Gettysburg Address. Now, Abraham Lincoln was very famous for this address. There was even a recording on YouTube that had him. Well, there's actually a recording of someone who heard Abraham Lincoln in the 1930s that was posted onto YouTube a while ago. Now, what's interesting with history, as I talked to you in my Titanic video, is you're not always correct. But what you are always correct is you have to come up with different theories. And so, as the war raged on, when Robert E. Lee came back, the Union seemed to be winning. And after they were seeming to be winning. So in 1865, the South surrendered, but a really sad event happened in April. Abraham Lincoln was shot and killed. It's very, very sad. He was killed by John Wilkes Booth, an actor. And what's really crazy is John Wilkes Booth's brother, John Wilkes Booth's brother, he was a really good guy, saved Abraham Lincoln's son, who served in the Union Army. Now, do you see the point? Yeah. And so, After he was shot, he was carried over to a hospital and he died there the next day. The nation mourned. And so John Wilkes Booth. So there's actually a police officer that's supposed to be in the box guarding the president, but he was on leave and he later got fired. There were guards inside, but there was a back door. So that was the first assassination of a president ever to happen, and that's when more tight security happened. And so it's really, really sad what happens to presidents that die. I think it's really, really sad, especially Abraham Lincoln, because he was such a good guy. The reason why John Wilkes Booth killed him is because he was mad because he liked the South and he liked slavery, which is ridiculous. It's like, what the heck? So John Wilkes Booth and his friend, because he had his men try to kill the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Defense, went and escaped. And John Wilkes Booth was in a barn. A Union cavalry regiment came and surrounded them. They ordered him to come out. He didn't come out, but his friend did. So they set the barn on fire, and later they shot him in the neck, and they pulled him out, and he died at sunrise the next day. So so there's actually the first woman to ever be committed to commit a crime against the government was the lady who gave John Wilkes Booth the gun. She was hanged, and all the rest of his men were hanged because they do not want to do a bad thing. I especially think it's so sad that he killed Abraham Lincoln. But even though he killed Abraham Lincoln's legacy will never be forgotten. And I think that Abraham Lincoln was a really, really good guy. He always was so uplifting. Another thing that happened right before, um, and another thing that happened right before. So before Abraham Lincoln died, there was a march called Sherman's March to the Sea, under General Sherman. Now General Sherman was a very he believed that they should just go triumph through the South to the sea and destroy everything in their path. It's really sad. The damage they did would later cost the North millions to rebuild. So when they came to a railroad depot, they tore up the railroad. They killed innocent people because they believed they were sinning. And Abraham Lincoln, he found out about this. He was like, "What?" Now this is before Abraham Lincoln died. So we're going back in time. And then Abraham Lincoln died right after. And so General Sherman just ruined everything. And when you look at a picture, you almost look like, whoa, that looks like a ruinage from World War II because they set everything on fire. Now, during the Reconstruction eras, the Democrats were the South, and Abraham Lincoln, who founded the Republican Party was the North. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video on the Civil War. Please consider subscribing, like this video, share it with your friends, and thanks for watching. See you guys in the next episode.